Southern Spain is one of the few places left in Europe where you can still buy a real farmhouse with land, views, and character starting at $100K. Here are 6 properties that prove it. Spread across Granada, Malaga, Almería, and Tarragona, these are homes sitting on olive groves, facing mountain ranges, and offering countryside living that costs less than a small apartment in most major cities. Stay with us through the end, because the last 2 listings are something else entirely. Quick note, all properties were publicly listed at the time of filming, but prices and availability move fast. Alright, let's get into it. First up, priced at 110,000 euros, roughly 129,000 US dollars, sits a single-story farmhouse in Senes, deep in the Sierra de los Filabres mountains of Almería province. Mountain views surrounded on every side. Complete privacy comes standard, and not a single neighbor falls within your eyeline. The land attached to this property stretches across 74,337 square meters, which works out to just over 18 acres, most of it filled with mature olive trees. 18 acres. Let that number sit for a moment. The house itself covers 64 square meters, about 689 square feet, and inside you'll find a living and dining area, an open-plan kitchen, 2 bedrooms, a full bathroom, and a storage room. Clean, warm, and practical. The listing describes it as move-in ready, which matters here because this is not a ruin project. Electricity is already connected, and a water well authorization is pending, with drilling costs being covered by the current owner. Access runs along a paved road with just a short track at the very end, placing the village of Senés 10 minutes away. To burn us 15 minutes out for full services and healthcare, and Almería City, the airport, and the Mediterranean coast, all within 45 minutes. At 110,000 euros, you own an 18-acre olive estate with mountain views and a home you can sleep in the same week you sign. There are buyers paying more than this for a 2-bedroom apartment in a provincial Spanish city, no yard, and a parking spot that costs extra on top. Here you walk out the door and see for miles, every tree on those 18 acres belonging to you. Almería province also logs more sunshine hours per year than almost anywhere else in mainland Europe, which means outdoor dining and growing your own produce stop being aspirational ideas and simply become how life works. That's worth holding on to as the price climbs from here, because property number 2 adds something this one doesn't have, at a step up in cost that makes a lot of sense once you see what's included. Picture stepping out onto a large covered terrace each morning and looking straight at the Granada mountains across land that feels completely untouched. Granada province occupies the heart of Andalusia, where the Sierra Nevada, mainland Spain's highest mountain range, meets deeply terraced valley farmland that gives the cortijos here a setting that feels almost cinematic. Property 2 is a cortijo near Valor in Granada province, coming in at 148,000 euros, roughly 174,000 US dollars. Construction finished in 2014, so this is not old infrastructure carrying question marks, but a relatively modern build wearing traditional style on its exterior, complete with chestnut beams, cane ceilings, and a double insulated roof. The land surrounding it covers around 5,000 square meters, approximately 53,820 square feet of good terraced fertile ground. Step inside and you'll find an open-plan kitchen, dining and living area, 2 double bedrooms, and a bathroom fitted with a freestanding bath and handcrafted mosaic tilings. Not a ruined bathroom, a genuinely lovely one. Windows on 2 walls open up the living area. A wood burner handles cooler evenings, and central heating with double glazing runs throughout. Outside, a large, partly covered terrace faces the mountains and works perfectly for outdoor dining, while stone steps lead down to a second terrace with an open water deposit and plenty of room for sunbathing. The listing also notes a 40,000-liter water deposit, a septic tank, and mains electricity already in place. The land carries fruit trees across the full range: cherry, apple, pear, fig, citrus, pomegranate, olive, and almond, along with an established garden and vegetable plot that's already producing. Valor sits about 20 minutes on foot from the Cortijo, which is a real factor to weigh, but a larger town with supermarkets, a pharmacy, a bank, and a gym is just 15 minutes by car. This is not a museum village either. It's real daily life with the GR7 walking route running straight through it. For anyone who has studied a map of the Alpujarras and thought about actually living inside that landscape, this is one of the most practical entry points available. And yet, the next property shifts the shape of the whole conversation because we are moving from romance to genuine working farmhouse scale. Property 3 lands at 150,000 euros, roughly 176,000 US dollars, and the profile shifts completely. Gone are the mountain retreats, because this one drops us into Almeria's agricultural zone, 6 minutes from the A7 motorway and the market town of Huércal-Overa. What you're looking at here is a working farmhouse, well maintained, with a scale that neither of the first 2 properties comes close to matching. 274 square meters of house, approximately 2,950 square feet, spread across 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a carport, a garage, and multiple outbuildings, all sitting on roughly 20,000 square meters of partially fenced land. Electric metal gates open onto a concrete driveway leading to a large front patio terrace. And past the main entrance, you'll find a sitting room, bedrooms branching off to each side, a large kitchen ahead, and a bathroom and pantry to the left. Outside the fenced section of around 8,779 square meters, 2 animal outbuildings anchor the property, the larger one stretching 176 square meters, part of which has already been converted into a working kitchen. A 35 square meter shed and an additional animal pen round out the outbuildings, and the land across the lane, according to the listing, suits either additional planting or horses. 40 olive trees and 35 almond trees come with it, along with fruit trees and agricultural irrigation already connected. At 150,000 euros, this delivers more house, more outbuildings, and a more connected daily life than either of the first 2 properties. Huercal-Overa's hospital has won national awards. The town market runs on Monday and Thursday, and the beaches of San Juan de los Terreros sit about 35 minutes away, with Almería and Murcia airports each roughly an hour out. For a family, for anyone running a small agricultural operation, or for a buyer who wants real infrastructure already in place rather than starting from bare ground, this is a serious option. Think of it as a working base camp rather than a holiday retreat, and that reframe changes everything about how you see the price. Property 4 takes us somewhere entirely different, and that's not a figure of speech. Tarragona, in southern Catalonia, runs about an hour and a half from Barcelona and carries its own coast, its own wine country, and a particular quality of afternoon light that belongs to this region alone. Ancient stone walls edge the vineyards here. The sea catches the light from certain hilltops, and the farmhouses carry a slightly different character from what we've seen in Andalusia. Quieter, more layered, built from stone that looks like it's been sitting in that exact spot for centuries. Keep that atmosphere in mind as we go in. Tavisa, Tarragona. 169,000 euros, roughly 199,000 US dollars, buys an off-grid farmhouse on over 2 hectares of almond and olive land. And while the footprint of 70 square meters, approximately 753 square feet, runs on the intimate side, what that space delivers is genuinely impressive. Downstairs, an open-plan living area flows through a lounge and dining space. A country-style kitchen anchors one end, and a wood-burning stove handles the heating. A twin bedroom and a well-appointed bathroom with a bathtub complete the ground floor, and the entire upper level belongs to a master bedroom, naturally warmed by the stove below, opening directly onto a roof terrace with views of the surrounding countryside and mountains that the listing describes as breathtaking. And looking at the location on a map, that description holds. A covered terrace outside and a large storage shed come with the property, and the off-grid setup is already fully operational. A 12-volt solar power system, a new butane gas boiler for hot water, a 20,000-liter water cistern, and double-glazed windows throughout. No passing traffic reaches it. 169,000 euros puts 2 hectares of Catalan countryside in your name, along with an off-grid system that already works and a bedroom terrace that reads like something out of an architecture feature. The Tarragona coast sits within reach. Wine routes run through the surrounding area, and the Saturday markets in this region are the kind you actually want to stay at longer than planned. There's a stillness to the Catalan interior that no statistic quite captures, but every visitor feels immediately on arrival. No major renovation work stands between you and moving in. That said, the conversation is about to shift again, because heading back into Andalusia, the land gets bigger, the views stretch wider, and the price remains, for what it covers, almost hard to believe. Subscribe if you're staying for more of this, because a whole series covering regions that stretch your budget even further is coming, and some of those upcoming properties are genuinely hard to process at first glance. For now, 2 remain, and property 5 has been sitting quietly in the queue with 14 acres near Malaga, and a price that needs to be seen in context to be believed. Colmenar, Malaga province, 225,000 euros, roughly 265,000 US dollars. Malaga province sits at the point where Andalusia settles into its most livable version of itself, close enough to the coast to feel its pull, far enough inland to actually breathe, with a climate so consistent that the sunshine reputation the Costa del Sol carries extends well into the hills and valleys behind it. Before you reach the house, you're already moving through an almond grove, 14 acres of almonds that bloom across the whole property every January and yield approximately 15,000 kilograms per year, according to the listing. A local farmer can manage the cultivation if you prefer not to, which means this land carries genuine income potential rather than just sitting there as scenery, and a stone threshing area on the property connects the whole thing back to the agricultural history of the region. The farmhouse itself runs as a single-level home of approximately 60 square meters, about 646 square feet, with a south-facing pergola terrace of 23 square meters attached, where sweeping views take in countryside, rocky mountains, and a distant glimpse of the sea. Inside, an open-plan living room and dining area share the space with a well-equipped kitchen, a wood-burning stove, 2 bedrooms accessible through the rear of the living space, and a centrally located bathroom between them. Practical and comfortable, with the listing describing it as ready for everyday living. And this is where the deal opens up further, because attached to the house sits a 48 square meter barn with original beams and a gabled roof, listed as carrying strong potential for conversion into a guest suite, studio, or extra accommodation, with existing openings that already make connecting it to the main house straightforward. That's not a renovation burden sitting on your shoulders. That's a future option waiting on your timeline. Mains electricity, fresh mountain water supply, a solar hot water system, and a newly installed septic tank. Handle the utilities, and Colmenar sits just 30 minutes from Malaga City and the coast, with hiking through the Sierra de Camarolos, local markets, tapas bars, and a real town community surrounding the property. 30 minutes from one of Spain's most connected cities, productive almond land beneath your feet, a barn to expand into whenever the timing feels right, and a listing that describes the house as move-in ready for a family, for anyone converting to a slower pace of life, for someone who wants rural Andalusia without cutting off city access, or for a buyer genuinely weighing whether a working farm income in Spain belongs in their future. This is one of the most complete packages across all 6 properties. Prices reflect the moment of selection, so if this one lands for you, that's worth acting on rather than filing away. And with that said, Property 6 has been waiting at the end of this list for a reason. Tolox, Malaga, Sierra de las Nieves, 235,000 euros, roughly 277,000 US dollars. Tolox is one of those white-walled Andalusian villages that looks deliberately placed, tucked into the foothills of the Sierra de las Nieves, a UNESCO biosphere reserve, where the air runs clean, the pace slows noticeably, and a thermal spa drawing visitors from across Spain sits right at the edge of the village. Above that village, on serene hillside land with panoramic mountain views, This detached farmhouse waits, and when the listing first landed on the screen, it required a second read, 2 double bedrooms, and 1 spacious bathroom anchor the interior, alongside a lounge with a wood-burning stove and wooden vaulted ceilings, those vaulted ceilings being the single strongest architectural moment across all 6 properties. A traditional country kitchen and a shaded porch fitted with glass curtains that functions as a full conservatory. Step outside and flat land divided into paddocks opens up, with 2 stables, a storage room, and mountain views stretching in every direction. What the listing also flags, and this is the detail that changes the conversation, is an existing OCA license for 2 horses already attached to the property. That's the authorization to keep horses on the land, already secured, already waiting, meaning anyone drawn to equestrian life or rural self-sufficiency skips the process entirely and walks straight into it. 10 solar panels, 12 batteries, a water delivery system running roughly €55 per month for 9,000 cubic liters across 3 deposits, and an optional generator for extra winter support make up a working off-grid setup rather than a theoretical one. The listing is honest about what this property asks of a buyer, noting it as a fixer-upper with room for personalization and flagging that the access track runs steep, something to factor in through wetter months. That's real information, not a reason to walk away, but it does mean this property leans toward a buyer who wants to put their own mark on a place rather than someone looking for a turnkey handover. For anyone drawn to equestrian life, to hiking inside a UNESCO-recognized reserve, to a natural thermal spa 5 minutes down the hill, to cobblestone streets and local festivals, and the particular silence of the Sierra de las Nieves at dusk, this sits at the top of the entire list. At €235,000, what you're buying stretches well beyond square meters and outbuildings. The vaulted ceilings, the horse license, the working solar setup, the mountain views, the village with its own spa at the bottom of the road. None of that belongs in a travel documentary. All of it belongs to whoever signs the paperwork. 6 properties, all real, all publicly listed, all sitting inside regions where actual people live actual daily lives. Here's the full picture before you go. Senes in Almería, the 18-acre olive estate at €110,000, still holds the most dramatic price per land ratio across the entire group, and it remains the one that stops the scroll cold. Pure land, pure solitude, nothing else competing for your attention. Step up to €148,000, and the cortijo near Valor takes over as the most complete lifestyle package below $150,000, delivering a modern build wrapped in traditional style, terraces, a working orchard, and the GR7 walking route running straight through the village. For hikers and remote workers, nothing in this list touches it at that price. Huercal-Overa's 274 square meter farmhouse, roughly 2,950 square feet of actual house, earns its place as the strongest option for families or anyone who needs real infrastructure already in place and room to grow in every direction, agricultural and otherwise. Tavisa in Tarragona lands as the most quietly beautiful off-grid setup of the 6, and the most editorial in feel, belonging to anyone who wants Catalonia with mountains behind them and genuine silence around them. Colmenar near Malaga carries the strongest overall case for year-round everyday living, land that can earn, a barn ready for expansion whenever the timing suits, and Malaga City just 30 minutes down the road. And Tolox closes the list as the one property that goes beyond square meters and outbuildings entirely, built for equestrian life, off-grid independence, a thermal spa village 5 minutes below, vaulted ceilings overhead, and the Sierra de las Nieves waiting outside the door every single morning for anyone who wants to disappear into Andalusia without a single regret. That's where the conversation ends. Now drop your pick in the comments, whether it's the €110,000 olive grove in Senes, the horse farm above Tolox, or something in between that caught your eye, because real answers from people who are genuinely thinking about this are what keeps this channel worth returning to. Subscribe if you want more of this, more real regions, more real listings, more deals that make you look hard at whatever rent you're currently paying. The next region we cover stretches your money even further. Don't sit this one out.